The Colorado Avalanche go up to Canada for a quick back-to-back and take all 4 points, one with a massive beatdown and another an overtime winner.
What
is going on in this season? Let's talk about it on a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Micieli. Joining me as always, Mr. Zach Pearson. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. Always appreciated there as well. If you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. You chat with us one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We'll do that a little bit later when the subtext crew chimes in on this most recent game that just finished up against Vancouver. They probably have comments on what happened over this weekend, a back-to-back. Anytime you can get anything more than 2 points on a back-to-back, whether that is you lose in overtime or obviously if you take both of them, that's always good. It's the two games themselves were the first game in Edmonton, just a complete thumping. And we'll talk about that first. And then you go to Vancouver, a much tougher game, a much tighter game, and you get an overtime winner. Craziness. So just give me your thoughts on the overall weekend, and then we'll start in with the Edmonton game first, because we didn't get a chance to talk about that one yet.
Hard to not feel good about this weekend. Like you said, second game, obviously a lot tighter, a little bit more stressful, I suppose, as you're watching that one. But again, knowing it's a back-to-back. But my goodness, I could barely even keep up with the goal calls in the game against Edmonton. It felt like every time I went to write down a note or put something out on Twitter, it was, oh, they scored again. All right, cool. Let me take down another note. Here's some thoughts. Oh, look, another goal. And it was to have 4 people on hat trick watch by the end of that night is absolutely absurd. Just crazy. And then Nathan MacKinnon, just to touch on the whole weekend again, 9 points in 2 games, 4 goals and 5 assists over the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. And that is domination.
If that's not #1 star of the week, which should be in the, just locked up, and he's heading towards #1 star of the month. I don't know what we're doing with that award, but yeah, that's pretty simple. Just hand him that award for that.
Yeah. Unbelievable performance.
That Edmonton game, it's weird. Like you get fluke games like that. There might be one that happens to the Avalanche this year. Yeah. Maybe not give up 9 goals, but every team goes through just one of those games. It's like in baseball when I always get it's always amazing to me, like those games that are like those 17-1 games in baseball where it's like they just keep bringing out new pitchers, and it's like no pitcher can get a handle on this game. They're all just getting shelled. And that's kind of the case in this Edmonton game. Really didn't matter who you had in net for whatever reason. They couldn't stop beach ball. And that was the glaring problem for Edmonton going into this season. And it is clearly the problem for the duration of it. I wonder if they're going to have to, I don't wonder, I know, like they're going to have to do something like the Avs did last year, and they better get on that because sure, your offensive ability can keep you afloat, but there's other teams really punching above their weight class right now in that conference, in the Western Conference. So if you don't correct that, man, could we be thinking Edmonton's on the outside looking in for a playoff spot? I don't know. It's still relatively early, but they just looked terrible. They looked like a lottery team in that
outside
game.
of McDavid and Draisaitl, who both actually I thought had pretty decent games. They played pretty well, and in the very early going, it actually looked like they were going to start to pressure the Avs pretty hard. I thought in the very beginning of that game, I even took down a couple of notes that were like, okay, Edmonton's really kind of pushing the issue here. Like, let's get some control. And then all of a sudden it was just, there was no control for Edmonton. I really feel bad for Calvin Pickard. I really liked him. I've liked him since he was here. He's been a career that I've kind of followed post-Avalanche as well. Definitely is not great to come in and let up 5 goals in relief, but the Avs were just on a tear in that game. It was like nobody was going less than 100%, and it showed in every aspect of that.
Yeah, you had it was one of those games where no matter when you got a look and they took a shot, it went in. It was just one of the you see that so many times across any NHL game you're watching when a guy has a good look and he'll just sail it wide, or obviously a goalie will make a save, or a shot would get blocked. It just seemed the Avs were always in good scoring positions. They'd get passes through, and they were connecting on everything. And it was just I had to watch that game. I was up north a little bit, so I had to watch that game on my phone. And like it was like every 5 minutes, I'm like, oh my God. And like my wife was like, what happened? And when I do that, she's like, she thought something bad happened. By the end of the game, when I'm doing that, she's like, did they score again? And I was like, yeah, they had 9, could have had 10 if the Landeskog goal didn't get reversed, which I understand that it did.
I was going to touch on that because I think we just go ahead and count that as a 10-goal game. Landeskog deserves this. This is absurdity at this point. And then to have the ping on tonight's game against Vancouver as well, as you guys are all listening to this on Monday, yesterday's game, but he's this close. He didn't have a great game against Vancouver. I think there were a couple of questionable decisions like that cross check at the end, but he just is right there. That like the goal is gonna come. It is going to be here soon.
Sure.
And I still think we count that. I think that should be a 10-goal game. There's no like offsides is gonna kill me.
It's tough for me to want to go there just because 10-goal games are just so rare. Yeah. I want it to actually be one. It's tough for me to just say like, oh, just count that as a 10. Like, I can't.
If
I can't
Connor
officially
McGahey is going to add 2 to Gabe Landeskog's total at the end of the year because he doesn't believe in these offside things either, then I can go ahead and add the 1 here. If it's good enough for Connor McGahey, it's good enough for me.
All right. It's like we'll say that it is, knowing that it isn't, just to make ourselves feel better, and whatever. That's fine.
Because we need to console ourselves after an 8-goal margin of victory.
It's crazy. Well, it's like, you can't sit like I got away from like writing anything down for that game. Yeah, and it's like it just everybody is just clicking, and then it's like, oh, you look at the power plays, and it's like, all right. It's so funny how we can like, okay, you scored 9 even strength goals and went 0 for 7 on the power play. Little, not fully 0 for 7 because there was one where it was like 20 something seconds. Double minor, they put out, I mean, at the end of that double minor, they did have their top line out there. So I don't want to completely say they ignored it, but I mean, sure, that's a bad luck, but they
also some credit to special teams. They did only score 8 even strength goals. We got the shorthanded one as well. The Avs did get a shorthanded goal. So
you're right. Yeah.
The special teams scored, just not the side
the other
that
way
you
around.
Expect. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and then the Edmonton goal, which was a McDavid power play goal.
Yeah.
And then you had I think it was before the MacKinnon goal when the Landeskog goal came off, because I think that was gonna make it 3-0, right? I think it was gonna make it 3-0, gets back down to 2-0. And even though Edmonton's playing like so hockey right now, you just feel like you give a team like that with those 2 players in particular more opportunities, and you're just like, is that just gonna come back to bite you? And it did not.
Thank goodness.
In so many ways it did not. But you did get McDavid have, every goal he scores, he just makes him look like just so effortless and just pretty at the same time. And even that was it.
Him look pretty. It's not right.
Yeah. But you had that one play, and then we'll I want to touch on this guy. This will carry over into the second game against Vancouver. Brent Burns. He had that really nice reach on Draisaitl when Draisaitl was coming off the right wing. Yep. He had that nice slap pass in game one. Who was that to in game one?
That one went to, was it Kelly?
Was it Kelly or Drury?
Drury. I think it was
Drury's. It was one of Drury's. And then in the Vancouver game, he did it again to Artturi Lehkonen. So he is settling in very nice. And it's like, why would you expect anything else? A guy who's been playing for this long, he just seems like, hey, if I can still play this game, which clearly he can, you can put me in any situation and I'll be okay. Which is exactly what he's doing. So I want to get our first break in here. We come back. We'll kind of transition over to the Vancouver game, talk about that one, which was a little bit tighter, but the Avs do get that one as well. In overtime, from maybe one of the most unlikely of players in an overtime session to get it, Gavin Brindley.
Yeah.
So we got all that to come. So stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, let's hear from Indeed. And you just realized that your business needed to hire someone yesterday. So how can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. You just use Indeed. And because when it comes to hiring, it's all you need, and you can stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. So now you can speed up the hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now to support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Avalanche. Terms and conditions apply. If you're hiring, Indeed is all that you need. Also brought to you by Doer. And I've been told by our very own co-host here, Mr. Zach Pearson, that he was expecting his package to come on Monday. You got it early, sir.
Got it on Sunday. So wore them during the day on Sunday. You were not joking. These are ridiculously comfortable jeans.
Yeah.
Just really, really good. I actually am pretty excited to wear them to work because it's like just the ability to move around. They're not restrictive like some jeans can be, which when you have to climb up ladders to work on projectors, or you have to move around different things in a classroom, or just general comfort throughout the day. I'm pretty excited so far. Very, very happy.
They passed the Zach test.
Probably going to end up with another pair or two.
Yeah. I mean, are they not going to be your everyday, like day in, day out jean?
I think very easily could be. Yes,
exactly. They're literally fantastic jeans. So they have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They're antibacterial, meaning your jeans stay fresh longer so you can wear more and wash less. And they're made with Cool Max that regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture. So it keeps you cool and comfortable as the temperature changes. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. I said it before. You try these once and they will be your go-to day in, day out jean. So you can check them out in store as well. If you live in Denver, they're at 2621 Laramie Street. You can pick up a pair for yourself, or the holiday season is here. They make an amazing gift. So mention the promo code LOCKEDONDenver in store to get 15% off of your first order, or you can check them out online at shopdoer, DUER.com/LockedOnDenver for that 15% off as well. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnDenver. Go check them out today. You will not be sad about that. All right. Let's get into the game against Vancouver, which we were talking about Brent Burns. You can kind of carry him over into that because, again, just a solid game from him. But just the Vancouver game overall, thoughts on that, or Brent Burns if you want to go his route too.
Yeah, we'll start with Brent Burns because, like you were saying, that slap shot, pass, goal, 2 games in a row, it's almost feels like a hockey sixth sense that he puts it it's so good of a shot to his teammate, not to the net, in order to set them up to just deflect it in. I say just deflect it in. I mean, you still have to have your stick in the right position. Like, tons of credit to Drury and Lehkonen for getting those. But
he just does it with his head up the entire time.
I know, he's just like, it's
not even looking at the puck.
Wickedly cool thing to watch him do 2 games in a row. I hope he keeps it up. And honestly, I know Landeskog traditionally has been really good at those tip ins. He's been really good at parking himself there. Maybe that's what we need to get the Landeskog train going, is a slap pass shot from Burns.
You feel like it's got to be something like that. I mean, Landeskog can score in a number of ways, but just because it's just been this long and the 2 callbacks, you just feel like it's going to have to be off of some rebound or a tip in front. That's just okay, a no doubter. But you mentioned the second one here with Lehkonen. 2 goals from him tonight, which I've been waiting for him to really kind of get going. Like, he gets so many opportunities in that fashion because he plays that way. He plays just right in front of the net. He's like a Landeskog guy. So he's given multiple opportunities, and I've just been seeing him like sail pucks wide, or sometimes goalies make a good save on him, but he puts himself in really good position. So it's really nice to see him pop 2 of them, because maybe that gets him, not saying that he's playing poorly, but just when you're on that top line, and you can be that third wheel between, Natchez and MacKinnon are going to get their opportunities. And then if you make it just as difficult for other teams, like, who do we cover here?
Yeah.
It just makes that line just so much more dynamic. So
his second goal came off of a rebound from a Natchez shot. Marty Natchez takes a beautiful, excellent shot. Lehkonen gets in the way, but the rebound pops out in front, and finally a rebound comes in front, and there's an Avalanche player there, and of course it's Lehkonen who's able to hammer it home. Yeah,
I thought this was a much, the Avs got rolling again. Yeah, you didn't think like, oh, here comes another 9 spot, but they get 2 goals in the first. Pretty early in the first too, if I'm not mistaken.
They were relatively quick.
It
was before halfway.
Right. So, you feel like, okay, they're just picking right up where they left off, but it is a back-to-back. I'm not using it as the excuse. Like, are they just going to run out of steam here? I don't feel like they did. I just feel like Vancouver played a pretty solid, sound game against them.
I think both teams were a little gassed at points, and too, Vancouver was on a back-to-back as well. So I do think there was some of that from both teams. I will say, I think something that really kind of energized that top line for a minute was, did you see Brindley playing out there with MacKinnon and Lehkonen? And that all of a sudden was like an energy, pressure, just attack kind of mentality. I love Bednar putting Brindley out there with MacKinnon and Lehkonen. I thought that was great. I thought it energized the guys really well. I didn't really actually like Natchez playing. I don't think that second line did as well with Natchez and Nelson and Val. They looked okay, but I don't think that looked as good. But it was really good seeing Brindley up there with Mac and Lecky, because that kid is 120% effort at all times and just go. So really cool to see him get rewarded, and then to get the trust and be rewarded by being put out there in overtime. They did what everybody asked. Bednar finally did what everybody's been saying: split up MacKinnon and Natchez, and they did it. It looked decent to start it off. Cale Makar comes in for Devontae. You get a couple more shifts or changes. You get Brindley with the puck. Vancouver goes off for a change. He sees his opportunity and just decides to attack. And that's a mentality that I think is going to play really well with this team, to just see your chance and go for it. And then he takes the shot, buries his own rebound. Like, man, that was so good.
And a lot of times in overtime, you see it like teams will just hang on to the puck to try to get like that perfect look or that perfect opportunity. And I don't think Brindley had a perfect look, but he had enough of one to shoot it, which is what I want to see from anybody.
Yeah.
You always get like it's like, okay, like he'll probably save this, so I'm not going to shoot it. And I'll circle back around and maybe even take it out of the zone completely and then get another way. You know, you see that so much in overtime. And I think that's where people are kind of like souring on overtime a little bit, where it's like present company included.
Exactly.
But, you know, with Brindley, like you said, first of all, the fact that he was just out there, and I think he's been out there for overtime before, if I'm not mistaken, but not for long and not this early in the overtime.
Second shift, I think.
Yeah. And he got it in the defensive zone and he just attacked. Yeah. It's great to see that in a young guy, to not kind of have some trepidation of like, okay, we're in overtime. I don't want to screw up here, because any screw up, team's going the other way in overtime. Yeah. He didn't have that mindset. It was, I have all this open ice, and he goes from right to left and he's got to look. And he takes it. Yeah. And what happened? Fine. Like the goalie saved it, but look what happened. Rebound right in front. He follows his rebound and puts it home. Game winner for Gavin Brindley. You have to love how this guy is playing. And we talked about it recently during the mailbag segment. Yeah. Someone asked, like, what's going to happen when you guys like Logan O'Connor return? We were kind of both on the side of like, well, probably Bardakov. How do you put Brindley down? How do you put him down? You can't. Especially if now you're moving him up to a top line and putting him into overtime time. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So
he's there.
He's earning everything. Everything.
They pulled him in on the altitude broadcast right after the game. And so I just managed to catch that one before I shut it off to come up to record. And he mentioned exactly the same thing. It was that I saw, and he didn't say it was like, oh, it's a wide open, perfect opportunity. It's the best chance. He's like, I saw they were going for a change. There was a chance for me to take it forward. So I took it and then went right after it. And it's exactly like you said. He saw what we want to see in overtime is just take that shot and go put it in the net. Yeah. Like, go be a little more aggressive. And it paid off. I'm super stoked for the kid. There is no chance he goes down. You can't.
No. Yeah. Like that's good that he said that, because it's, you know, and again, like the age he's at, to have that mentality of, hey, if I miss, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So it was good to see, but I thought it was a good game. Credit Vancouver. Like, yeah, they run it back-to-back too. They came back. You had some really iffy calls and no calls in this game.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm not here to come down on refs, but I didn't think it was totally terrible, but it was just bad to see. I didn't like seeing the one that tied it up at the end for Vancouver. I get that one, and I think Landeskog maybe should probably be a little bit smarter, but
Landy needs to not do that, but they also can't call that if they're not calling the one on Drury from a few minutes earlier, where he gets a little bit more than a few minutes, but either way, he gets cross-checked into the boards and nothing. And there's a couple other plays like that. Ross Colton, I think, got cross-checked in the middle of the ice with the puck nowhere around him.
Landeskog got tripped behind the net. Or not tripped. I think it was...
That almost looked like a cross-check as well.
It was a cross-check, yeah.
Similar plays that went uncalled, and then you're going to call the one... And again, I do actually think it was probably a penalty by the letter of the law. Just, you have to call it everywhere then. You can't let it slide in some places and then call that one. Yeah. And that was frustrating. But Avs pulled it off, and one thing I always say, good teams overcome bad calls.
Mm-hmm. So, and you know, you followed up the 0 for 7 power play with a 2 for 3.
Yep.
And you had Vancouver was 1 for 5. And I also think I heard on the broadcast, because when it was inching towards the end of the game, I think they said overtime, you know, the Avs obviously had not won in overtime. I think they said Vancouver had not lost in overtime.
Correct. They had
when they said that, I said in my head, well, let's go to overtime then, because you know that this is going to go the other way around. There's no way it can keep up. And that's exactly what happened. So
as soon as it's mentioned on the broadcast, it's like anytime I watch an NFL game. Well, this kicker has never missed from 55 yards in his career. Like, well, for sure, put that bet down that it's not going to hit.
That is the kiss of death right there when you say that out loud. So, yeah, I thought it was a fun. This one was a fun. I mean, both games were fun. When you have those, you know, blowout games, when you're the team that's crushing the other team. Like that's obviously fun to watch. And then this one was just a good, solid hockey game all around. You had good plays. It just seemed like there was a lot of open ice in this game. And maybe that speaks to, I don't want to say tired, but, the back-to-back. Maybe that speaks to that. But there was a lot more open ice in this game than I thought there would be. What were the shots on goal here? 32 for Colorado, 33 for Vancouver.
Yeah.
So
bad turnovers on the Avs again. I feel like at least 2 of Vancouver's goals were directly off of bad turnovers.
I think they were Valanchuskin turnovers.
Yeah,
a couple
one
bad,
of them was. And that was the shorthanded goal for sure, because Val brings it in, turns it over. They get control back, bring it back in, and then Val immediately turns it over again, and then that ends up in the back on a shorthanded. So some things to clean up, but again, on a back-to-back, you expect a couple of mistakes, and it did feel like Bednar really in the second intermission kind of went in and had a conversation. So they came out much better.
But if you're the Avs, you are feeling just everything is just great right now. You finally got the monkey off your back of, not having an overtime winner. Okay, that's done. And you did it in a game where you were 2 for 3 in the power play. Yep. Okay, everything is just, going the Avs way right now. I'm not saying that's going to hold up for the entirety of the season. You want it to. Yeah. There's going to be dips in the road here, but right now things are everything seems to be going their way.
Yep.
And on Tuesday, a massive matchup against the Anaheim Ducks of all teams, who are crazy,
just rolling right now. Crazy. Yeah.
All right, let's get our final break in here, and we'll hear from the subtext people and our sound checks as well. We'll do that next. We're going to hear from FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And everybody knows I'm not the biggest NBA fan, but I have been seeing these graphics put together of the Nuggets and the Avalanche, and like both in first place right now. So you can put a $5 bet on both or either one of these teams, and you have a really good shot.
Pick them to win at home. Put your $5 bet on either team to win at home, and that's probably your best chance at your $300 in free bonus bets.
All right. Listen to the man. So right now, FanDuel's giving new customers that $300 in bonus bets that Zach was just mentioning when you play your first $5 bet, and that $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so let's check in with our people over on Subtext. They have some things to say about this game. So we got Marie says Brindley played his you-know-what off tonight. What a hustler. Would really love to see Tristan Nielsen on a line with him. Marie's a big Eagles fan. She's actually the one that picked this over here. This Landeskog one up for me.
Nice, perfect.
So she's big. So she's really tuned in with the Eagles. Was happy to see when he came up and only got the one game, but hey, maybe he comes back at some point during the season. And that would be a good line together.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah. We got Vargar. Brindley is probably C-Mac's best trade. Who knew he would have a clear-cut win? Waddell is one of the most overrated GMs in the NHL. Avs should thank their stars that C-Mac can school at least one other GN, but is it senior abuse? Stop with this, Vargar. Stop with this. And he Vargar, you like the lumberyard trades? Do you not? You were happy with those? Pretty sure he was.
Good goaltending tandem.
But it is looking like kind of, I don't want to say a steal of a trade, but for what you gave up to go get, I don't know the Columbus prospect pool, but I know Brindley was, I don't know if he's number 1, but he was up there. So, but to get him was a really good bit of business from Chris McFarland.
Yeah, it really was. Really was.
We got Craig says that was such an exciting game to be at. Craig was in attendance.
Yeah.
for that one. The Canucks actually wanted to win versus what the Oilers did last night. Sound check. Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold.
Ooh, I do love me some Avenged Sevenfold.
Solid song. I heard that new album was not that good though. I haven't listened to it yet.
I totally dig. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
I dig.
I gotta listen to it. Laura says, she was happy that we brought up her question about LOC and Brindley on the pod because this just really underscores that Brindley has more than earned his roster spot. So she was one that brought it up and we talked about it and kind of hammers home that Brindley talking point. Zach R says, great weekend of hockey. Always fun when we get to see the quote power duo of McKinnon, of McDavid and Draisaitl contemplating their life choices on being on that Oilers team. Awesome to watch how good Burnsy is at that shot pass and loving how he always just throws it at the net from the point. Also loving the game from the depth guy, specifically Brindley with the OT winner. He's looking like quite the little Spitfire out there. So in honor of Brindley's OT winner, the sound check is New Blood by Zaid. Is it Zaid Wolf? Zadie Wolf? I don't know who that is, Zach R. So I have to go check that out now. You threw one on my radar. Appreciate that. Heather says, I love how deep and well-rounded our team is this year. Each game is better than the last. We just need Landy to get a goal to stick now and someone get a hat trick that Brindley got the OT winner.
Yeah.
We've had someone get a hat. Well, we had Olofsson got a hat trick.
Olofsson got one, but I think when you have 6 hattie watches in 2 games, you kind of want one of those to go through.
I get it. I mean, you had 8 guys in that Oilers game with at least 2 points.
Yeah.
8 guys.
Absurd.
And Heather's right about the depth of this team. Like it's where's the holes in this team? Right, the power play? Okay, fine. If you want to say it's the power play, it's the power play.
Yeah.
But are you going to just give this team multiple power play opportunities because that's where they're struggling the most right now? No, you'd be stupid to do that. So
go ahead, do it. Come on. I let plenty of practice to get it right before the playoffs.
Exactly. And let's see, Madam Battleaxe. Let's see what Madam Battleaxe has to say today. Never been so happy to be so wrong. Back-to-backs are always tough, but the Avs showed why they are at the top of the league. Landeskog has got to watch those penalties and a sound check because Lehkonen was a star of the night. Earth, Wind, and Fire, shining star.
Okay.
She's given Lehkonen her first star of the game. Which
I
can't be against. I mean, if you can either go the 2 goals route or you can go the Gavin Brindley route. So
I might have to give it to Brindley, but I could easily be talked into Lecky for that one for sure.
All right. Well, let's hear our sound checks, sir. And this is where we pick one song each that summarizes the most recent game, or if you want to do the weekend, because we didn't do the Oilers game until now. Which is the route that I kind of went. So these songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify and on YouTube Music, and you can find it by just searching LOA Soundtrack Volume number 5 is where these are on. So what do you got for you do the weekend or this?
I'm gonna go the full weekend, especially just because like the Avs win in overtime finally on Brindley being young kid, only his 17th NHL game, something like that. His first ever game-winning goal, super impressive. And you're gonna put 9 up on the Edmonton Oilers, and so I had to go with something. I remember hearing it first time in a video game soundtrack, and I'll never forget when it hits. So we're going "Blow Me Away" by Breaking Benjamin because the Avs absolutely blew me away this weekend.
I can't refute any of that, and that's kind of the route that I went of looking at the weekend as a whole. The 9 goals that perks everybody's ears up around the league. 9 goals against anybody, you'll be like, wow, what happened there? And then you see it's against Edmonton, who I think people still think of as was Edmonton not the number 1 team in the Athletic preseason reviews that they do. Pretty sure it was. I'm almost positive it was Edmonton. Almost positive. So not only do you get 9 points, but the team you did it against just makes everybody take notice. And then you followed up the next day. You get 5 more. So you got 14 goals in 2 games. And you win in overtime, and your power play went 2 out of 3. This is so the route that I went, and I because both these games were in Canada, I went with a Canadian band. So I went with Our Lady Peace. I might have gone with Our Lady Peace on another time, but I'm going with Our Lady Peace. And they came out with last year. They came out with like these short. It was like their 30th anniversary, so they came out with like these like 5 or 6 song digital sets, and they're of like 5 songs that and then like an unreleased song. And on one of those volumes, they came out with an unreleased song called "Sound the Alarm." So that's what I'm going with, because it's not a bad alarm. It is an alarm for the rest of the league to be like, wow. I mean, and the Avs are at the top of the standings, but you look at what they did this weekend, and I think people were on notice anyway.
Yeah.
But seeing what they did, I think people are going to be like, okay, Avs are going to be a problem for the duration of this season. So maybe that's where it comes in. Other teams are sounding the alarm.
Yep. I like it. I like it a lot.
All right. So that is going to wrap it up for today, everybody. So another week of shows coming up this week. So make sure you are tuned in to all of those. Anything going on tomorrow, we're going to bring it up in that episode. So make sure you're tuned in to that. But for this one, thank you again for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. And again, for making Locked On, the podcast network, the #1 podcast company on the planet. It's pretty awesome. So
and Mars.
And Mars. Are we counting Mars now too? Sure.
I'm going for it.
All right. Why not? So thank you everybody for that. It's incredibly appreciated. So, all right, we'll be back tomorrow. So make sure you tune into that one. He's Mr. Zach Pearson. I am Chris Micieli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, where of course you will have made it through another 24 hours. Sidney Crosby is that much closer to being on the #1 hockey team in the league.